Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. This is round 7 of season 2 for the race at Silverstone. Heading into this one, we are on a high after, spoiler alert, claiming victory in the previous race. But Austria has always been a very good track for me. I think my very first win on a Formula 1 game was at that circuit. So, it has always been a strong one. Silverstone, the polar opposite. While I have had success here in the past, it has never come quite as easily as it has in Austria. It's one of the tougher circuits on the game for me. Just the high-speed nature is not much to my liking. So as we complete our first flying lap in qualifying, we're currently in 7th position, so not looking too bad actually around this circuit. But it is early in the session. We come around to complete a second flyer on the same set of tyres. We improve to 6th. But by the time we go to the end of the session, we're not in the top 14. So everyone improving a lot over the session. We didn't set a time late on. And that very nearly cost us. We just about scraped through in 15th. Yuki Tsunoda, not so lucky, knocked out in 17th. So our pace as a team has taken a dramatic backward step from Austria. And it's not just me, because Tsunoda's down there as well. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but this one looks like it's going to be a tough one. But anyway, Q2, we set our first flyer, and that was actually on a new set of tyres, but I think we can do a lot better because we're currently last in the session. So we're going to need to do better than that if we want to get into Q3, but it'll be very close either way. So we will push on and do a second flying lap, and we are finding time as we head through this second lap. So that is good. We just need to keep pushing and make sure that we gain significantly on our previous lap, because it was not good enough. So now we head towards the last complex of corners, the club section. Let's see if we can improve on our initial lap. We're currently down in 16th position. Can we improve? Can we get up and into the top 10 to move ourselves into Q3? I don't think it was enough in the end, and we are going to be knocked out down in 11th position. So not bad, honestly, given our pace in Q1. I'll take that. We improved 4 spots from our Q1 time, so yeah, we're looking decent enough. We may be in with a chance of scoring points, so yeah, we'll see.
Great Britain then, one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every single year of the Formula 1 World Championship. And the circuit extends that record further for today's Grand Prix. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of the Silverstone circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula 1. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Let's talk about the scientist. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long-term remains to be seen.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso and Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Mazepin and the scientist, Matsushita, Vettel, Antonio Giovinazzi and Stroll, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Valtteri Bottas and Pierre Gasly. They've taken a grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Russell, Latifi and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Points finished last race. I mean, I guess he's not wrong, but it's not kind of underselling what we did. Anyway, we're going to start on the softs, go to the mediums. Not really a lot of strategy options here, so let's go with that. You'll notice we're up into 10th position after a grid penalty for Pierre Gasly, as we now go to the 5 red lights, and away we go immediately for the British Grand Prix. A very short hold on the grid there, but we've made a decent start. And we're going to have a look to the inside. No, we're just going to feather out of that one, not going to stick the nose in where it doesn't belong, and Matsushita gets around our outside. The Japanese driver yet to score points this season for AlphaTauri, and AlphaTauri themselves not scoring massively at all, so maybe it's a chance for them as he's now into the top 10. We're now fighting side by side with Sebastian Vettel, and we get ahead of the German as we go around the outside of Aintree. Find ourselves a little bit off circuit there, just trying to make sure we give him the room he deserves. Matsushita now down the inside trying to make a double pass. He backs out of that one, and we will slot into line as Vettel spins off our inside. Sebastian Vettel will tumble down the order, and that's not good for his race. Let's see what happened there, as he was pulling alongside to make the move, and he just didn't quite get there, and there was no space on the inside. Vettel finding that out the hard way, and goes for a spin, gets going once again. Not sure if he's got damage or not from that, but you can see he just saw the gap at the last moment, didn't quite notice that it was going to close up there, and he goes for a spin. A bit of a 50-50 one that. I think briefly for a moment he was up, alongside us, but then he sort of backed out late on in that move. But up at the front of the field, this was the fight for the lead off the grid. It was a great start for Lando Norris, and he draws alongside Hamilton through the first few corners, but Hamilton will just hold on, and Lando Norris slots into second. But the two Brits leading first and second at their home race for both of those drivers, so they will be hoping that it stays that way. Lando, with the pace of that McLaren this season, may give Hamilton a run for his money here. It may not all be plain sailing for the other Brit. They're both Brits. There's Brits everywhere as we now continue along with our race, and we will soon be under siege from Antonio Giovinazzi. So we've got no pace here as Giovinazzi is trying to make the move. We go wide, get a switchback on Giovinazzi. Can we go back around to the inside as we head into the club section, back up the inside, and we'll retake the position, and we'll give him a bit of space on the inside. So it's going to be side by side through the final few corners. Can we make it round here and make it stick? Yes, we can, but this is not the positions we should be fighting for. We need to be moving our way forwards, but we're on the defense here as there's a bit of a mistake through the Cops section, and now Giovinazzi trying to make the move to the inside, and he will get through into Maggots and Beckett's. Nice move there, Giovinazzi, and we've just got nothing. We've got no pace at the moment, and I think it's because our tyres are absolutely roasting. We've got extremely high tyre temperatures, and we just don't have the pace to keep up, even with the Alfa Romeos, who are a much slower car than us. We just can't do anything about them, and they are just steaming past. So it won't be too long until Kimi Raikkonen is in our revision mirrors, but at the moment it's not. Raikkonen behind us as we go very wide out of the final corner. That was just a driver mistake there, and now we're trying to fight off Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda. We're pinching Stroll to the sidelines, so hoping that will give an opportunity to Tsunoda, but unfortunately that sends us off the road, and we go tumbling down the order. Now Pierre Gasly gets past us, and we need to try and slot back into the circuit. Ocon round the outside, and we are just losing position after position. Now Bottas in the Haas down the inside. We've barely seen the Haas's all season, but we're behind one now. Let's see if we can re-overtake him. We've got a bit of a slipstream here, but we just can't do anything, and Bottas is through, and we're down into 18th position in this race. That was a terrible mistake there, and it's cost us so many places, so we need to get our act together.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
And there's no damage to the car, so yeah, we just need to get a move on basically. There's no excuses, we just need to drive better. So let's see if we can chase down Bottas, and as we continue on out of Luffield, we do get past him with a bit of a switchback there, and now can focus our attentions on Pierre Gasly. What he's doing back here I'm not sure, because Matsushita is still doing a decent job up the road, holding on to a points position. So Gasly having a grid penalty and not showing great pace in this race, as Bottas now side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. He's still fighting for this position as we go side by side along the hangar straight now. This is going to continue all the way along. Bottas just with the nose ahead at the moment. We're going to try and go around the outside, wheels on the grass as we head into Stowe corner, and Bottas is going to hold on. We'll keep the nose in on the inside. We'll have a good opportunity to get up the inside into the club section, and we do. And finally, we should be able to take this position and move ourselves ahead of Valtteri Bottas. This is Norris going around the outside of Hamilton for the race lead. Lando Norris going for it, and he will just about get through on the inside. Hamilton not giving up on the outside line though, but eventually he'll run out of space, and Lando Norris takes the lead of the British Grand Prix. Great stuff, Lando. He takes the lead of his home race, and that will send the crowd absolutely wild. The two Brits fighting it out at the front. They will be loving it. But now we catch up to Pierre Gasly. We have a nice switch back onto the Wellington straight, and now we'll get the DRS as we head towards the next corner. We have a look to the inside, to the outside, weaving all over the place, trying to get in the mirrors. We'll go all the way around the outside, straighten it up for the exit. We'll just keep the nose alongside. Gasly has to leave us the room, and we'll get through on the inside of Luffield, and that is job done on Pierre Gasly. That was a nicely crafted move there, and we got the job done. Now Pierre Gasly though trying to come back us along the hangar straight. He's going to get through. We'll go back up the inside. No, we can't quite get there. Gasly holds on into Stowe. We ran ourselves a little bit wide, but we will fight back once again. So through the first few corners once again, closing in to Pierre Gasly. Can we do anything here? We're having a little look to the outside. We're going to go to the inside of the loop, and it's not a regular place to make a move, but we will get it done on the inside line there, and that is job done. Pierre Gasly is now behind us. We don't open the DRS, now we do, but we were very late on the activation there, and that almost cost us the position, but we do eventually hold off Pierre Gasly there into Brooklands, and now hopefully we can move ourselves forward in this race. But we've spent so much time fighting with Gasly and Bottas. We're nowhere near the field in front, and we've got a lot of time to make up before we get to Kimi Raikkonen. But we continue on then to lap number 22, and we make our pit stop a little bit earlier than scheduled because I'm just sick of these soft tyres. They're just not working for us. So I thought we might as well try something and yeah, see what we can do on a fresh set of tyres. So maybe these medium tyres will work better for us. Only time will tell. But yeah, at the moment those softs just weren't really doing anything for us. We weren't gaining anything on Kimi Raikkonen. He was actually getting further ahead of us. So yeah, it was worth going for the switch early just to see if these tyres would be any better for us. So only time will tell, and time does tell that these tyres were not any better. And by the time we regain our track position while everyone else makes their pit stops, we are basically the same distance behind Kimi Raikkonen. We gained maybe a second at most. So yeah, that wasn't particularly useful for us, and we're still in the same position we were in 10 laps ago. So we continue on, and that is Hamilton out of the race. So that is a disaster for him. His championship has not gone well so far, and Hamilton will not score points here. And that is Ricciardo as well. Daniel Ricciardo, the championship leader, having an issue, and he pulls off to the side, and he will lose out big this time as well. But those two DNFs have allowed these two, Nobuharu Matsushita and Yuki Tsunoda, into the points. Tsunoda in 9th, Matsushita in 10th at the moment. So both of them on target to score points and fighting away hard. Those two have been swapping positions all race along. But as we have to bail out the way of Fernando Alonso there, that has allowed Pierre Gasly to catch up to us as we've been getting blue flagged. Alonso running in 4th position, so he's having a decent race at the moment. But seeing Pierre Gasly in the mirrors has given me a hurry up, and we've caught up now to Kimi Raikkonen very, very quickly as Gasly goes for a move down the inside, and contact is made, and Gasly goes for a half spin off the right hand side there, and Gasly making a desperate move, and he's found out the consequences of that, as yeah, he was nowhere. You know, he wasn't that close to us, went for a very late dive to the apex, but there was no space, and Gasly spins himself around. But with very few laps left in this race, we need to get past Kimi Raikkonen now, especially as we're being blue flagged for Carlos Sainz. We don't want that to interfere with our little fight. So we go down the inside into the club section, but we go too deep. Raikkonen back around the outside. Contact is made though, and I was leaving space on the inside. I thought Raikkonen would try and take that line, but that was just a clumsy misjudgment on my part. But Sainz, I think, was involved in that as well. So we'll have a look on the replay, and yeah, bit of contact was made there, but that secondary hit with Sainz was actually quite significant. So Sainz may have some damage now in this race as we have a look at the back. An output on board, and that was a big hit. Sainz into Raikkonen. Not sure who did what to who there. We'll go on board with Sainz and watch where Raikkonen is going. Was he cutting back to the right there? It was a bit hard to tell from that angle, but Sainz for sure made heavy contact with the side of Raikkonen. In fact, Raikkonen was still driving towards the left, towards the curb there, so maybe Sainz just getting a little bit excited in that circumstance. But anyway, this is the fight for the final 2 points paying positions. Matsushita getting the move done and gets back ahead of Yuki Tsunoda in the very last lap. But now round the final corner comes Lando Norris. He's going to win his home race, the British Grand Prix. Well done, Lando Norris. Yeah, it's a fantastic drive, and he will gain big points in the championship when he really needs to. But for us,
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
it's only P13, and a very sad day in the office, all things considered. Esteban Ocon gets the driver of the day. He had actually really good pace.
Here we are then, a fantastic British Grand Prix, and what a performance it was from our race winners today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
But they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So it is Lando Norris who wins the British Grand Prix. Max Verstappen takes second position, and Sergio Perez with a fantastic drive up to third.
Our championship leader is still sat at the top of the standings, but their rivals have made up some solid ground today. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there we have it. The end of the most frustrating race of the season, but also a very boring one. You may notice there were massive chunks of time missing because, quite simply, nothing was happening. For a lot of that race, there were no cars around within 5 seconds of me. So it was a bit of a boring one, but it got a little bit more interesting towards the end, I suppose. But yeah, there's not really too much to say about our race, just no pace at all. But yeah, great result for Lando Norris, winning his home race, and he moves himself up 2 places in the championship, up into third. And with DNF for Ricciardo, with the mechanical issues, he moves himself within a race worth of points to the championship lead. Strangely enough, we actually don't lose out points versus Ricciardo because of that DNF, so our gap to the championship lead doesn't actually change in this race, which is good. But yeah, decent points for Verstappen with second. That'll help his championship. Sergio Perez, a decent drive as I mentioned, from 8th up into 3rd, so a few overtakes on his part there. Fernando Alonso, great race, finishing 4th, starting 5th, so gaining a couple of spots, or getting 1 spot, although that would have been due to the retirements of Hamilton and Ricciardo. So without those he would have actually lost that spot to Perez overall, but nonetheless 4th place for an Alpine is a great result, so not going to take that away. Ferrari's doing a decent job, 5th and 6th for Leclerc and Sainz. Esteban Ocon, fantastic race for him, last position on the grid, all the way up into 7th. That is brilliant from Esteban Ocon. Nikita Mazepin finished in 8th, so more points for him in that Mercedes. He finally gets to the end of a race with no reliability dramas, and he gets a small chunk of points in the bank as well, so that'll be a welcome relief for him. P9, Nobuharu Matsushita, P10, Yuki Tsunoda, those two are scrapping away for the entire latter half of that race. Matsushita just getting the upper hand at the end there on, I think, the final lap, or maybe the penultimate lap of the race. So yeah, that is a summary of the points. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, we lose that spot to Lando Norris, and in terms of the Constructors, we drop a spot to Ferrari, but that is the summary for this one. So let's just move on to the HQ stuff. And we had to choose a new rival. All of our options were rubbish, so we picked Lewis Hamilton, and we, against all of the odds, beat him in the first round because he didn't finish. So that's a good start to that. Unfortunately, this screen does not look as positive. No money coming in from our sponsors. We didn't meet any of the goals, and we really need to change some of those because, yeah, it's not looking so good for us at the moment. So yeah, if we get a chance to renew some sponsors, we need to pick some easier objectives, I think, because we're just not doing enough at the moment. But anyway, we have a department event in the personnel department, so let's go check that out.
Okay, now this is an interesting one.
So it looks like Tsunoda has been working hard recently with all of his preparations, and the team are worried that this will lead to burnout. We can either send him on a spa day, that will increase his focus fairly significantly with the 2 up arrows there, or alternatively we can just let him continue on with what he's doing. That will increase his experience by 7. We are going to go with the focus.
The department wants me to pass on their thanks for helping out.
Next up, I mentioned renewing sponsors. Now we have a chance to do so because our worst sponsorship deal, the one where we needed to score 20 championship points, whose crazy idea was that, that's come to an end. So we are going to sign a new sponsor, and we're going to choose PSD, and they all they want us to do is answer 4 interview questions, which shouldn't be too hard. Activity timeline doesn't really matter because we have time to do literally everything here. So now we continue through the timeline then,
without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
And we get a turbo reliability upgrade, and that along with a energy store reliability upgrade means our durability department is actually 3rd best, so that is finally on par with the rest of the field, and that is good. And that's probably the end of the durability upgrades we'll do this season. It's good to get them out the way early, and now towards the end of the season we can focus on our raw performance.
Come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
But yeah, I always like to focus on durability early, otherwise you won't see the full benefit of those upgrades, whereas performance upgrades, you get the benefit immediately, not later on down the line. But anyway, speaking of raw performance, we got a rear wing downforce upgrade as well going on the car, and we purchased an upgrade to the fuel tank position. That's a weight redistribution upgrade with major effect. But anyway, we continue through the timeline, and we will see what pops up next. A marketing department event. Let's check that out.
We've got an issue we'd like your input on.
So the marketing department think our touring facilities could do with a makeover, apparently. Basically, we can spend some money and get a bunch of acclaim, and we are going to do that.
Handling that.
So continuing through the timeline again, as we travel towards the next event, more resource points, as we actually get now to the summer break. Not enough resource points, I should say, to actually do much with at the moment, but having a quick look as I try and find Tsunoda's stats now. He's got 95 pace and 86 focus, so he will be very, very quick in the next race, so that's something to keep an eye on. But we head through the break, and we get an upgrade on the car as well, and there you can see getting that final activity in the timeline out of the way. But anyway, we also get some upgrades onto our power unit from Honda as well, which is cool to see that those have come through. There they are. Not a lot of upgrades, but that should definitely help us out. But if you actually look at our relative performance on the power unit side versus Red Bull and AlphaTauri, we're actually looking pretty good, as I am now checking out all of our departments, and we're kind of midfield in a lot of them. But yeah, the power unit versus Red Bull and AlphaTauri is good, so maybe it's just Honda needs to do some more work.
Ready for the next race weekend.
But there we go, more aero upgrades coming onto the car as well before the Belgian Grand Prix. Not enough resource points to purchase any more at this moment, but that really boosts up our aero department potential as well.
We need your input on how to address an issue concerning our driver.
And now we have another department event again, revolving around Yuki Tsunoda, looking overworked recently. So we can tell him to take the rest of the day off. That'll increase his awareness by 10 and decrease racecraft by 5, or we can decline and it will have the opposite effect. But I'm actually starting to wonder if this is because we always choose like the simulator programs and stuff in the activity timeline. I wonder if they're related. That's pretty cool if they are. But anyway, we are going to accept and take the awareness option, because I think that is slightly better given his current stats. So that is the one we went for there. So there, that is the new updated things. His awareness is now at 100 with racecraft at 89. I'm fairly certain those effects are only temporary anyway, and then they'll revert back to what they were before. But still, he shouldn't make any mistakes now with awareness of 100. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that is about all there is to cover for this one, so I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Feel free to give us some feedback in the comments, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.